Oh, and the other one I used to get all the time is that fucking the carnival music. The do 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 do.
That's the best. That song just makes me want to fuck a clown. You know what I mean? That's like
clown banging. Yeah. Damn right. Welcome to the Trashcats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
And today we're both celebrating the spoils of winning the war on Christmas. Steven, how does it feel to know that we defeated the beast, if only for a time, until it reemerges from its slumber next year?
The victory feels good, but I don't feel like we can cherish it, because it is coming back next year.
We just have to start preparing now.
That's what I was gonna. I'm preparing the weapons.
Get the silver bullets ready. Get the candy cane crosses. Candy cane crucifix.
That reindeer poison. All of it.
They don't teach you this, but the reindeer blood is actually elf poison.
Oh.
Yeah, so that reindeer, the couple reindeer we got, we need to harvest the blood, keep that around, dip all our arrows in it, and then...
I was going to ask you how your week was, but you gave me the perfect transition, because this morning I woke up covered in mouse blood.
I actually know part of the story. Go.
I was fast asleep. I had my vape in one hand, dip in my mouth, the TV on full volume. I'm about to fall into a peaceful slumber. And what do I hear? I hear some squeaks. And I think, we don't have squeaky toys. What could be squeaking? And I realize my little tiger, my little cat, had its first kill. Little tiny baby mouse, shrieking, dying on the floor, blood all over the bed. It was a massacre. And I was so tired, I went back to bed.
Yep, just gotta, maybe move the sheet around and just don't use that part.
I said, Sarah, go kill that mouse. Finish it off, throw it outside.
The best part of that description was me picturing you like a toddler would, with how a toddler would have their teddy bear and their blankie as they're getting ready, all cozied up for bed, falling asleep in front of a nice quiet movie, and instead it's you with your vape in one hand and a nicotine pouch in your cheek.
I drink warm milk every night before
watching some loud ass debate on YouTube.
We actually did feel pretty bad. The mouse was not in good shape. It was a cute little baby too, but circle of life. My cat did what it was built by God to do.
Yep, it was willed by God, and to challenge it would be a sin. So we won't do that.
Exactly. Shit, man. How's your week?
I spent a good portion of this week searching for gravy ladles.
I thought that said gravy ladies.
Which doesn't sound any better.
No, it sounds worse. But what are you doing looking for ladles?
I mean, listen. If anyone out there, if there's a good gravy lady out there, I think I want to meet you. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. But I'm enticed, to say the least. To
get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, we'll work out the details later, but, hit us up. So on one of the lists for a friend of mine, they're looking for some houseware stuff, and specifically they wanted a gravy ladle. Now I'm not sure if you ever noticed before, but you can't just go somewhere and buy a gravy ladle. Most of the time they're just like large, what the fuck's it called? Regular ladle shapes. They're big, and I think that's a soup ladle. That's not the point. You want a small something just to get.
It's a shallower dip.
Yeah. So I'm in. We go to this mall, and I'm searching at multiple places, and I'm going up, I'm looking through all their kitchenwares, and in some places I'm even saying do you sell just gravy ladles? like we realized like maybe we need to go to like the wedding registry place to some of these places and like talk to them, but the lines were so long that that wasn't a possibility. So the one poor woman I asked, she had to have been like Ukrainian or Russian, and just based on her accent. And I walked up to her and she was doing like folding something. I was like, "You look like you work here." And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "I'm looking for gravy ladles."
She said, "So is everybody else."
Yeah.
Line.
She's like, "Yeah, join the club." No, she said, she kind of looked around and I was like even like, the wedding registry thing, like, I don't know how it works. If like you guys just sell those by themselves or it comes in a set, or I don't know. And she was like, kind of gave me like all shoulders and was like, "I just started here. I'm sorry." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Did you fire her?
Yeah. No, she was like, "You have to ask somebody at a register. I don't know. I'm sorry." And I was like, "Oh, okay, got it. That's cool." Like, I honestly wasn't expecting much. And she went back to her thing, and I realized of all the like, she probably like this is like a seasonal job, I assume, and she just started this place, and she was like just doing some prep work in the morning, and then like the most wildest question: "Do you have gravy ladles?"
Yeah, you had that realization when you put all the pieces together that you were the crazy one.
I was the wild ass customer that came in asking for some off the wall shit. But we did that at multiple other stores and nobody had gravy ladles. Even though they marketed them online, they did not actually have them in store.
Oh, that's funny.
So the good news is I did end up finding gravy ladles.
It's just a big spoon.
Yeah, shouts out to Amazon. This little independent company called Amazon.
You got to support your local
They got
business.
me my ladles in 2 days.
Oh shit. So what I know last week was kind of shitty.
Yeah. That was my whole week. That was everything.
We had the Christmas nonsense. We're almost through. And I know you mentioned taking a little psychic damage. Do you feel on the ups? Where are you at? Like, where's your mind, your head this week? I'm
definitely feeling that depression a little bit. And like, in a way that like, I don't know. It's not like, it's definitely not my worst depression I've ever had. It's just like a lull of, a depression. And it's not like, I usually don't get seasonal depression this time of year. I've talked about before, I usually get it in the late winter, like early spring-ish. And
when everyone else starts feeling better.
Yeah. Knowing that everyone else is healing makes me upset. But I don't know. I just realized I was just getting kind of lethargic, and you had brought up like it probably has something to do with the back injury and everything, and kind of feeling like I wasn't as independent as I wanted to be for a little while. But I do feel like I'm on the up and up. I made a list the other day, and I've been sticking to it. I've got, my thing for today was like, after I go to work, like stop at the store for a couple things and then come home and do laundry. And I did that. Mm-hmm. And I started watching The Witcher. So that was good.
It looks like trash.
Well, I mean, were you the one that you watched the first season and you didn't like it?
I didn't get through 5 minutes.
Oh, well, I enjoy it. We have some differing taste in media. See, that is the problem. I feel like the thing of like, as far as like, when you podcast, you want to have like some kind of differing opinion is good. And the things that we like differ in opinion about is like media, like music and TV and movies and shit. Like, we agree on some stuff, but there are certain things, but it's like, it sucks to like listen to. Like, it's not like opinions. It's like, it's opinions about something that if someone doesn't have reference to that thing, then they're completely out of the conversation.
And it's just so subjective. Like you said, we are pretty singularly minded on like most topics except aesthetics, which we still largely have a lot of crossover.
Right, exactly. You notice a lot of lens flares. I don't.
Oh my god. You can't unsee it though.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It's funny. Yeah, man, I'm going through a bit of the depressive lull myself. Last week it felt like just the season. This week it feels a little different. Like today I just don't really like feel like myself. You know, those days where you're just like, I don't know, like going through the motions, or like you just don't really feel like in tune with your mind so much. Like if in life we are sandwiches, today I am just the bread. I'm just two pieces of empty white bread with no substance. I'm starving. It's like just one of those.
It's a beautiful analogy. It's just so fucking funny. Oh, god damn it. In life, if we're sandwiches.
Gotta laugh at the bullshit. Like, for real, I feel like it was one of those days where I feel like my heart's gonna, like, fizzle out and explode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then, before recording, I was like, I gotta tighten it up a little bit. I gotta get in the zone. So, you know, I go back to the things I trust or believe in the most, and I start fucking around with some art. I probably have 6 hours in masking a goose. This beautiful goose painting. And I'm just going for the wings. But for whatever reason, masking in Photoshop is the most calming thing in the world to me.
Now, what is masking?
It's basically like if it was a real physical picture, just cutting out your layers, like separate. But in Photoshop, you mask and it just, you turn on and off the parts you want to see. You create a mask to hide or show things. So I'm cutting out a goose. Most people, or people that are very proficient, you can use all kinds of tools to do like auto selections, and they get, if you know what you're doing, you can get very accurate shortcuts. But if I'm doing it for my own art, I enjoy and want to mask everything out by hand. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's I don't know. I feel like it's the chance to interact with what you're working with, or understand what, I don't know, all the intimacies of the...
Yeah, that's the word I was going to use, is it's more intimate.
Definitely. And one of the views you can do it in is like, instead of just like erasing in a way, you have a view where it's red and black. So it shows everything you've masked in red. So it's like you have to create the perfect red fields. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's just very, I get instantly zenned out. So that helped chill me out. Feel a little bit more myself. Always feel better recording, not because we're recording, just because we're talking. So
nice.
It's all chill.
Yeah. I realized Tuesday I was an absolute fucking wreck. I had a list of stuff I was gonna do, and I just like, when I say a wreck, like I was fine. I was just like not there, and I slept through a lot of the morning, and then I woke up. I was awake for a little bit, and then excuse me, Jesus. I fell asleep again in the afternoon. Woke back up. I think I ate something, and I moved around a little bit, and then I fell back asleep, and then it was like 6 o'clock, and it was like, dude, I couldn't, miserable. I couldn't motivate myself. And I realized, like, okay, I wanted to do these things. I wanted to get this stuff done. And it was like, I think around like, you know, like 1 or 2-ish, like I wrote it off. I'm like, it's not going to happen today.
So
I need to give myself the day.
Did you call it early, or did you wait? Like, because for myself, if I, like, some days you just have to call it and give yourself a break and be like, hey, I just need to chill. But then other times, I know myself, I'll hold on to it and be like, no, I still can get it together. And it feels like you're just dying inside. Like you're just slowly falling apart.
I went back and forth with that for a minute. So like around like 1 o'clock, like after I woke up for the second time the day, I decided, okay, I don't think it's going to happen because I still felt like trash. And I could feel that like I'm not motivated to do anything. So I put it off, and it's all stuff that's like, it's for me. It's not like for other people. It's just stuff that like I wanted to do. So it was like, all right, don't worry about it. And then, when I woke up later in the evening, I realized, okay, well, now I've slept for like an entire night's worth of sleep in a day.
Yeah.
I might feel like doing this later. And I still was on the fence about it, but around like 7:30 or something, I was like, all right, cool. I'm just going to get some music on. I'll light some incense, and I'll move a couple things. And then it was like, I did that, and I was like, all right, and then now I'll just do this, and then I'll do this, and then I'll do this. And it was just one step at a time until I felt better about it. And then by the time I'm going to bed, it was like, I need to go to bed now because I need to work tomorrow, but I feel like I'm having fun cleaning and doing chores and shit.
Yeah, as soon as you do that one thing, it's all momentum. Life is so, for myself at least, it is all about momentum.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of something. In this last surrealism episode we did, we somehow forgot to talk about Dolly's waking dream theories and stuff. How we totally spaced out. He would sleep with the key. For anybody who doesn't know, he would try to practice lucid dreaming by having this practiced sleep regimen, and part of it involved sleeping with a big heavy key, so that as he would doze off, he would drop the key and wake himself up, and this helped him like navigate or enter in and out of dream states he could control or remember dreams better. So this is different, but I kind of have this thing. So one of my favorite things in the world, period, is the feeling of going unconscious, right? The feeling of nodding out, whether it's drugs, to sleep, whatever. Like that feeling is my sweet spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, isn't that so peaceful?
I hate that.
How do you hate
like
that?
In sleep? Like when I know that I'm trying to go to sleep, yes, okay, I can work with that. But if my goal is like I was just sitting down watching TV the other night, and that happened where like I would like doze off and then like shake back awake, and every time it's like a panic. It's like I hate that. I don't like it.
Is that because you don't feel in control?
No. Well, maybe it's more of that. Just like I don't want to be asleep right now. Like maybe that's the difference in what we're talking about. Because like
what if you're off? You have the week off work. You have some nice sleepy time tea. You got some nice music playing.
That's different. If I'm trying to be comfortable and like I'm cool with like dozing, that's different.
And you got the butterfly flutters going where you're like, I'm awake, I'm asleep. That kind of thing. It's the best, right?
I mean, kinda. I usually just, at that point, I'm like, okay, I just need to close my eyes and actually just go to sleep.
So I have a couple tricks. Try this out.
Okay.
All right. You do kitty toes. Now, kitty toes.
I'm sorry. What's kitty toes?
It's an advanced technique. This is not for beginners, okay? This is, all right, when you're falling asleep or you're tired, you practice a rhythmic motion with your feet where you like curl your feet and like push them against the bed slowly, and you just like do it back and forth, kind of like a cat does, right? Kitty toes.
Okay, yeah.
And it kind of keeps you from going full asleep. And if you just concentrate on like how pleasant it feels, you kind of start doing it without knowing you are, and you can kind of sustain that butterfly in and out. And it's lovely. All right, you dose up on a shit ton of melatonin. You got your honey, sleepy tea, and you just kind of like glide through, right? So, my name for the feeling of going unconscious, that feeling when you're like slipping into the warm water, that's called donking, right? So, here's my thing. The best days, the days that are good, are days you double donk. You're supposed to lose consciousness not once in a day, not once when you just fall asleep. You're supposed to double donk every day. This is a scientific fact. So
you can read Dr. Professor Stevens' thesis.
I've wrote books on it. So instead of just like once or whatever, you have to get it down. So a lot of people I think do this without knowing that's what they're doing, but you set your alarm, right? Mm-hmm. Like an hour early, and you wake up in a panic, right? It's like, oh fuck, I gotta get to work, gotta get my shit together, life's bullshit. And you calm yourself down and you donk back out until you gotta wake up again. So you get the double donk. You got the morning one, and then you got one at night. And there's something like the feeling of losing consciousness is so satisfying to me that when I do it before I have to start the day, then when I wake up that second time, I can like go into it, right? Like I got that like out of the way.
I can somewhat understand that part.
It's like mind sex.
So I wouldn't call it that personally, but
it's like you got the clarity now. Like you got it out of your system. You're clear. I
do always have 2 alarms set. One usually a half hour after the first. So that I can wake up, see how I'm feeling, and then I can either get up then or wait a half hour. Now, that's the other thing is I also give myself at least an hour and a half every morning, like after that second alarm. So if I wake up at the first alarm, I have 2 hours to like, before I have to even leave my house.
That's a lot of time.
I enjoy that time to wake up and like.
Got a morning ritual.
Yeah. So that's part of it for me. That's like when I have to be at work at 6, that means I'm waking up at 4.
Jesus.
Which is why I go to bed at fucking 10 o'clock on Fridays.
Right. Now that's no double donk, but
no.
It's a similar idea though. You're giving yourself like this extra check-in and chance to adjust, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and sometimes it's not even like sometimes I definitely get that where it's like, I don't need to be awake right now. I'm going to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, I just need to sit here for a minute and like stretch, like do the cat toes.
Yeah. Kitty toes.
Kitty toes. I can do that.
Yeah.
I do that in bed. Even with your hands too. There's actually a thing about that, about doing that and like going to sleep. One of the earlier ways I read to combat insomnia, not so much insomnia, like that's different. Trying to get to bed quicker.
Sure.
Is to imagine you're getting a massage from the tips of your toes down, or up, I mean. So when you're laying in bed, sometimes it helps to clench your toes, curl your toes and clench them together for a minute, then flex them back and stretch them. And then like the blood rushing to them will help you feel that. And if you just think like individually, like every square centimeter of your each toe and in between and like going down the bottom of your foot and going up with your ankles. Like I've never gotten past my knees
that's
before I fall asleep.
Yeah. I like those mental games we play with ourselves, right? They're all like coping mechanisms and like people adjust, it's like you develop them over a lifetime though, it's like
I got a fun one. This one always works.
Okay.
So when I close my eyes, especially when I'm trying to go to sleep, like after a little while, what happens, at least in my vision, is it's like darkness comes from the outside and like envelops the entire field, and then more like it's like in waves. So what I do is like I try to focus on, like it seems like it'll come in and it'll be like blackness sweeps over, like my eyes are closed, right? And like it seems like it just gets darker, and then like once it's filled up my vision, you realize like, okay, it's not as dark as it could be because another wave of darkness is coming behind it.
Yeah.
And I concentrate on like it becoming dark and becoming like more black and more dark.
It's
and
so
just
cool because it always keeps getting like the shades of richer, blacker black.
Yeah.
It can be, yeah. And you can like feel the rainbow of colors in the black.
Yes. Yeah. I absolutely get that too.
I would love synesthesia or some of those things. I just would be so interesting. I watched that video today. I'm not going to give it away, but found a really cool video about brain damage and synesthesia effects that we might discuss in an episode at some point soon. Oh man, like brain damage, you know, it's
Dane
almost
Bramage.
always, say again?
Dane Bramage.
Dane Bramage. It's almost always so bad, but there's so many like crazy possibilities with regrowing neural pathways or just like different ways to have internal experiences differently than other people. I just find it so intriguing.
I had speaking of brain damage, I had a Call of the Void or a crossed timeline thing earlier today. I was carrying laundry down to the basement, and in my particular home, you have to go outside to get to the basement.
Yeah.
So you have to walk outside over the. There was some ice on the ground that I put down salt earlier today, but there was still a little bit there. And in my head, just for a minute, as I'm walking, I had the vision of like slipping and falling, backwards and hitting my head.
Oh shit!
And then waking up there, or something, and but there was just that really vivid vision of that happening, and it was like, ooh, someone, Richard in another timeline just ate it.
What do you think? I'm just gonna explore for fun. What do you think? Like you feel that sensation before it happened, before or after? Like before or after you pass that patch of ice, are you feeling that experience that you're?
It probably starts with like just my mental, like as I'm even going outside the door, I'm realizing I know that there's still ice. I need to be careful. But
did you picture your like self experiencing that from the first person, or are you thinking like it's just like the feeling of the thought of it?
No, I pictured that from the first person.
So like at what point did you let's call it a vision, right? Like no stigma on the term. When did you have the vision of that happening?
I wasn't like particularly over ice at the moment. It was actually afterward. I'd walked across a little bit of ice. And then it was literally like I could almost see like if you've ever like fallen, especially on ice or something like unintentionally, but but you still somewhat expect it. It's all in slow motion. Like everything goes in slow motion for a minute.
I've never had the slow motion.
You've never had that? I've gotten it the last couple of times I've had a good fall, and both of those times were on ice.
Do you get that with like random traumatic things? Because people say that all the time, but then I feel like there's another half of people where it's all a blur, and I don't know.
It may not even be so much of slow motion, more than it's just like the amount of mental processes that's going on in that moment is a lot compared to what it was a minute before.
Definitely, but I feel like for some people, when you reflect back on it, there's so many thoughts that happen so quick that brief moment of time feels expanded.
Yeah.
But I'm curious if in the moment, there is more time to play with thought. And I'm wondering, when you're so you stepped over the ice patch.
Yeah.
And then you're visualizing, parallel universe B, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's happening after? Like, is this a protection mechanism thing where your mind's like why are you having that thought if you had to venture?
Well, I would assume, if we're going off of this, this entire theory based off of string theory shit, that it's a theory literally based off of string theory. This isn't a string theory thing that the timelines intersect and you can see deja vu shit or call in the void shit. On an opposite note to this, I've also had things where there was one, I was driving back to work, and while I was less than a minute away, I was right around the corner from work, and I'm about to pull into the driveway, I had a thought of sticking my hand in the blender while it was going, and I thought to myself, oh, that's wild, because that could be if it's a string theory thing, it's happening in another dimension. But it was before I even got to work. So I think the time relationship doesn't matter as much as it might be off by a second, but it's it's close enough of a moment where those timelines intersect that it correlates directly. You probably have tons of thoughts that are seeing things from a certain, first person, or something similar of that nature, but it doesn't, resonate with you because it's not related to something that's either happening at the moment or just happened or is about to happen. I was thinking about going into work and prepping some shit with the blender, and then that thought came by, and it's just me thinking about possibilities of shit, but for some reason my head went straight to, and then what if I just dropped my hand in the blender? What if I forcibly shoved my entire fist in the blender? Which that means the lid is off and the thing is running, and I decide to do that.
So let me ask you, how playful are you considering the possibilities of it being string theory, or from anything other than just a brain warning or passing thought? What value do you put on an alternative experience?
Not a lot. Mostly because there's no way to test it or know. Mm-hmm. The value that I do put on it is that I think it's cool. I think it would be cool if that was a thing that was we're just completely dumb to it. We don't know.
Well, it's a way to make even not slipping on a patch of ice interesting. Yeah. Right? It's a way to play with your mind, right? Jungle gym it up in the brain world. So my gut reaction to those things, because we're both visual, I feel like I see those kind of thoughts often, where you're considering how something could have played out or how you could do things differently, and it's so brief, but you can have this whole little alternate timeline in a split second. And how I've heard different ideas on it, but I feel like there's part of it, at least for myself, and I think for other people, that the thoughts we have, let me preface this. Okay. So in psychiatry or like in the conversations around mental health, you often hear like, mental health isn't our fault, but it's our responsibility, right?
Yeah.
I feel very strongly about that. I think that's a very honest, productive way to look at mental health stuff, right?
That's nice.
So you also often hear, especially in BT, whatever, behavioral therapy, cognition shit, that like, just like meditation, you can have your thoughts and you don't have to act on them. It's okay to have thoughts or feelings and you can let them pass, that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Or that you're not, like, there's often the perspective that we aren't always responsible for our thoughts, right? Like, there's definitely an element of truth to that.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Right? But I do think, even if we're not responsible for every single thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a thought's just a thought. It doesn't mean you did something wrong, right? It's not a thought crime. But I often think there is this kind of like, in those conversations, a lack of ownership of like, even though you may not have generated this thought, it still was your thought. It's not like from a parallel universe. It's not from an alien. It's not from somebody else. It's a thought your brain created, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes there's like an element of like escapism or lack of ownership in like when people say like, hey, those are just the thoughts being beamed to you. It's not you at all, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't know about all that. I think it's still your brain making those thoughts. It's just, I think that the main difference is, well, there's two, like one is intention. If, you're, the second one would be like, if you surround yourself by, or at least you considered to, or you can continue to, consider these, the either dangerous or whatever thoughts that you have, or, whatever, then that's what you're more prone to think of. If you dwell on it, if you, it's like, when you watch a bunch of scary movies and shit and you go to bed, you might have, nightmares or something. And that's just your brain reacting to stimulus. And it's from the outside, but you can also get stimulus from the inside. 100%. If you continue to, the word I'm looking for.
I know where you're going. You're lighting up the same neural pathways.
Yeah.
And that's why habits,
you're humoring those thoughts by.
Yeah, and that's why those certain thought patterns can be so much harder to break. Like if your mind is a forest, right? An unlimited forest in the pitch black of night, right? Mm-hmm. And you're stumbling around this forest and it's like all your trees are all your thoughts, right? You're lost in the mind forest in the middle of the night. Your paths are like the trampled underbrush that you have like wandered through. Right. And even if you can't like see the shape of that path, the more times you walk through those thoughts and go down those paths, the easier they are to fall into it.
It's the path of least resistance.
Yeah, and you just keep lighting up those neural pathways.
Yeah.
So here's where I'm gonna kind of play with the ice patch a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is might all be bullshit Freud shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if, all right, like you said, the things that we think about, right, are, you put it as intentions, right?
Yeah.
Like the things we go back to, or I guess I'm just trying to say, I feel like even if it's unintentional and we're not always in control of the thoughts, there are thoughts. And at least for myself, I attribute a lot of that to like intention or like subconscious desire, right?
Yeah.
Not anything sexual can be, but like I think even if we're not always in control of it, our mind is desiring things constantly.
Yeah.
So like you're stepping over that ice and you have that random thought pathway. You're in the forest and all of a sudden the moon shines on this one path that's not in the direction you are going on. And it's a path that for whatever reason your brain wanted to show you. Right? Like you want to fall.
Yeah.
You want to put the hand in the blender for some reason, even if it's only like to be illuminated so you know you don't want it.
Right.
But
it just wants to show you.
Yeah,
we could make you put your hand in a blender.
Right. For myself, though, I feel like a lot of those illumination moments are like the most base level of truth.
Interesting.
Like the call of the voids, the slippages. It's like if I was in your position, right? I'm going to put laundry down. I just hurt my back last week. There's like a part of me that, right? Like life's hard. We want comfort. It's way harder to like go outside in the Detroit winter and do your laundry than it is to just lay up in bed and like take meds, right?
Right.
So like I feel like obviously the path of least resistance would be to fall and to be hurt. Like it feels like something your brain's giving you as a warning, but it's really more of the desire.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just put a certain level of faith in the vision thought stuff.
Yeah, I mean I can see that too, because also it's like if with my depression lately too, that could be a I'd like to look into that, see if there's a study done with that. If there's call of the void comes to people that respond to depression, are more likely to see it, if they suffer from depression or something like that.
I feel like there definitely are. Like think of any killer with psychotic fantasy, right? That's all 100%, right?
Yeah, I did. So I realized the other day the closest I've had to a suicidal thought in a long time was the other day. It wasn't like yesterday, but it was like a few days ago, and it wasn't even to the point where it was like a consideration of. It was just like it was more like a self-deprecating joke I made in my head while I was driving home. Because I was like, I could tell that I was pissed off and about something, and I was stressed out, and depression was starting to hit me, and it was like, well, I could just end it all, and then it was, and that was it, and that was the closest that I thought, even for a minute, of like that is an option.
Always an option.
Yeah, and it was like, I got shit to do tomorrow though, so
yeah.
I got to record this podcast this week.
Right. That's one of this is a little leap, but I'll circle right back. My favorite quote about the Hillary versus Trump election was my rehab buddy saying, why the fuck should I vote for them? It doesn't matter who wins. Either way, I take the bus tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Which is a very apathetic, shitty way to look at it, but it's that level of like the fantasy or the desire for something can be nice, but it's all the practical like utility of like what's ahead matters a lot more.
Yeah.
But like for myself with the suicide stuff, it's been like such a constant my whole life, that like when I think about it now, which is like not every day, but like most days, I think about it at some point, but it's not like never a plan, or like I don't even feel like fantasy. Like it's like it just feels like it feels like an idea, like not a reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like the same way when like you or somebody makes that joke about it to themselves. It's like it's just like a concept.
Yeah.
And it like helps it not feel serious.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Where it's just like I can indulge like the negative of it, because by doing so it takes the weight of any reality out of it.
Yeah.
It's an empowering thing.
Yeah, that's definitely very true. There's a whole there's a whole understanding of like, I was gonna say, like how you feed into something, you can also take away power from it. The way you do it. It's like and it's not that you're taking away power from it like for good, it's like you're biding time, because it's still on your mind and it's still something that you're thinking about, and it's still something, it's still thoughts that you're entertaining in some form or another. But it's still like to be able to look at it in a lighthearted mode definitely helps to ebb it away for a little bit.
Definitely.
Keep it at bay.
Yeah, we definitely really focused on that with our clownology.
Yeah.
One. It's so true, man. Comedy, it's the best medicine. Like, not that, but I feel like it can be so undervalued in empowerment. Like, being able to laugh at shit is like such a empowering thing to do.
Yeah. And that's why, like, I think one of the worst parts of the depression, it's not even really a sadness more than it is just a general apathy for me. It's like I just don't give a shit. I'm impatient and I'm tired and I don't care. And I don't care enough to think about it or to try, and that's when I realize, okay, it's coming on. I'm getting depressed right now. The apathy part of it, where you're just like emotionless. And it's one thing to be apathetic to like certain subjects or certain ideas or whatever, but like for like just it to be your general mood, that sucks.
It's weird. Like when I think of that for myself, it feels like there's a certain feeling of like that's who I am. Like a part of my identity has been bound by that, for better and worse. Something I've worked on a lot. When I think of that level of like depression or apathy bound to someone I care about, like such as yourself, it feels like so like wrong or abnormal. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, you're not supposed to feel that. Like, that's not how I think of you or you present yourself. And it's so weird that like those invisible parts of us can affect us so much without being apparent to other people. Like, our brains are, it feels like it's just myself, when you're in that mode, but like everyone's brain is trying to kill them like all the fucking time.
Yeah. Yeah, I acknowledge that. I feel that. It's I don't know, the whole, I don't know, the depression thing in general, I feel like, especially talking with other people about it, it's interesting to me to see like what affects them the strongest, like what part of it really grips them. And most people, have at least a similar enough feeling of it. Some people, they get it more often than others, and like, and even among them, like I've met one person that was like, they were depressed so often that it it almost didn't even faze them anymore.
Yeah.
It's like they were just, they wouldn't even bring it up. Like, they wouldn't even talk about it like that because it was just like, that's just how they are.
Yeah.
And it's like, that sucks. And I'm sorry, like, I don't know.
It's clinical depression.
Yeah. It's like, I don't understand how you're alive right now. Like, I don't, like, I mean, I guess I do, because even at times when, like, I've been the closest to, like, wanting to, commit suicide, like, that was, like, there was never a point where it was like, I can't get past it. There was never a point where it was like, I'm reaching for, a thing to, to commit it in some way or another. It was, like, I get, maybe I don't have the will for it, but there's always something else that, like, stops me or holds me back. And it's like, that's not an option though.
Yeah. I've definitely had, enough occasions where I made the reach for something, but I was still, like, hesitant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it feels like no matter how bad things were, I have, like, a certain level of faith in myself that in the forest there is a path. It might take a while and it might be hard to find, but there always is a path, right? I feel that very strongly now, which is a weird.
That's good.
Change.
Yeah, that's huge. That's I mean, that's what it really got for me, is like it ended a lot of grief for me, was when I made the call. For me, it was like, I'm never going to not trust me again. Like, I doubted myself on just a bunch of dumb shit for a really long time. And I realized, like, no, if I had stood up for myself, I wouldn't be in this position right now. Or I wouldn't be going through this shit right now. If I would have stood by my guns and trusted my gut, I did this to myself, but I learned from it. And, like, you can, doesn't kill you, make you stronger shit. But
yeah, I remember the first time hearing you say that, and it made me, like, it was a very satisfying thing to hear.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, when you like witness, it's like a form of, like, witnessing someone go Super Saiyan, right? They're like, I will always trust my guns. But fuck, what was I gonna say?
You're talking about how I went Super Saiyan.
You were going Super Saiyan. So, all right, you're in the forest. There's like a weird animal, right? You hear it. It's snarling in the brush. You see the reflection of eyes. It's got weird horns. You don't know what it is. And before you even get a chance to, like, get a glimpse of it, it just tramples you, right? Your leg is gone. You have one leg. You're crawling, bleeding through the dirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you think of that now, that is impossible. You're like, I am going to let myself bleed out. I'm going to make myself comfortable. I'm done. I accept that life will never be the same. I will never be able to navigate this strange place the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, as soon as someone helps you, or you cauterize the wound, tie it up with the belt, like, and you get used to it, and you, like, start to be able to crawl again, it's like we just can adjust to those new normals in ways we never thought we could. Like, our capacity to struggle is endless. Yeah. Like, there is someone, like, on a ventilator, kept alive by machines, like some kid somewhere in the world, like just dying to like survive every day, and they could be like totally normal, like that's their baseline. Like things can always be so much fucking worse.
Yeah.
And we have like so much mental plasticity to like find a way to navigate like new depths of suffering we didn't know we had.
Yeah, that's what Hellraiser's about. The
fucking Cenobites.
Yeah, I like that, description, because it's true. There's always, for every low, there's always been a high that comes afterward, and you're like, for me, I get, for every low, it's not like directly afterward, but like months later, I can look back and go, that was silly. Or that was routine. That was like something that I'm used to. And it's just, even like within, like when I first start getting like symptoms of depression, I don't think about it for the first couple of days. It's just like all of a sudden I'm really exhausted, or I'm might be a little testy. And then like all of a sudden, it'll click on, and it's like, oh, I'm getting depressed right now. Like, oh, my brain's trying to tell me something. All right, cool. And then like after that point, it's not like, it still doesn't get better immediately, but it still makes it like, at least I know what I'm dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm aware that like I'm at a handicap right now. So you adjust to it, you adapt to it, and you're like, all right, cool. I've been here before. I've worn these shoes before. Give me a minute. Let me, break them in a little bit, get comfy real quick. All right, cool. Here's how we do this.
This path feels familiar.
Yeah. I've seen these trees. I seen that bush last week.
It's so much scarier when you don't know it.
I cried in that bush once.
I'll never forget that bush. It's so much scarier when
that bush is the mother of my children. Sorry, that's my last one.
It's so much scarier when you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Like any mental illness, like first onsets, or like first time going through a different challenge or tragedy, that's when it's more of a test of will, for sure.
The mental, the emotional, like mood swings, and like just the uncertainty of why you're feeling and thinking what you're doing, what you're feeling and thinking. That part.
Gross.
Sorry. We can edit that part out.
Oh, we're keeping it.
I tried to make it quiet. Just the feeling of feeling and thinking, what you're feeling and thinking, that part, trying to work, trying to figure out why it's happening to you. That's, like realizing you might be like lashing out at people, or like getting, road rage more often than you usually would, or you're just, apathetic over nothing. Like you just feel like shit.
Yeah.
Just stale.
I'm a lasher. I'm shitty to people a lot. I come by it so honestly, though. Like, it's never my intention, and I feel like I often apologize to those people for it, but in the moment, in grief, I become incredibly cruel. Like, in depression, do you feel selfish?
I would say kinda. In a way, I think my main thing, like when I lash out at people, when I get depressed, it's because I'm upset with myself, and I don't either. It's before I'd realized like I'm depressed, or I'm just impatient. because I'm trying to deal with other shit and I don't think before I act.
I've never actually experienced that with you, but I could see that.
It doesn't happen often. I'm not much of that. But usually the main reason, even when I'm not depressed, the main reason that I ever like lash out at someone is because I'm upset with like some shit that like the way that I'm reacting to other shit and like why like the stress is built up from like, oh, I might be like having a shitty day already and like, you know, I might be behind on a couple tasks and then like, you know, now something that you're doing or asking me is stopping me even further. And then before I can continue, I have to solve your problem. And like, it could only take a minute or two. And, you know, it doesn't have to be like, you know, someone that needs my help, but I still like, the anger is real in that moment. And it's.
Yeah. So these, like imagery things I've been spouting off probably sounds stupid, but if your forest is
I love the forest analogy.
If your forest is dark, right? You're in your thoughts. I feel like with you, the times out of anger, frustration, or whatever that you like get frustrated enough that you start swiping at the tree. You got your hatchet. The juggalos were there last week. Yep. You got one of the hatchets and you start attacking a tree out of anger. The situation I see that most plausible for you is when this construction company, this outside force, enters your forest and they fuck up an area, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like
it's like that, I have to fix this now.
Yeah, an external stressor.
Yeah.
That's where I could see you lashing out. Because like you said, you might be lashing out at someone else, but you're like really kind of hurting yourself when you do it.
Yeah.
I feel like
it only makes me more upset that I did that.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like for myself, I can deal with the construction company or the stoner campers leaving trash everywhere. Mm-hmm. I can wander through the trash forest, okay? I feel like. But that random night, like before a storm, and the wind gusts through the trees, doesn't even fuck anything up, but it just, the wind flows through the branches a direction I don't like. I am like destroying a section of the forest.
That sucks.
Like just, well, I feel like yes and no, because I feel pretty good at not being too affected by outside stressors, but I can just wake up some days or like have that certain internal like change of wind where I'm like, yo, fuck this. Like I'm gonna fuck this place up before I go, right?
Yeah.
And it both is like empowering in the stability of not being too affected by others, but it's also like very vulnerable to like not always, or just to have less control of how you feel sometimes.
Right. Yeah, that's a different one. I realize for me, I think I do prefer anger to apathy. Because it's better than feeling nothing. Yeah, it's
always.
I still, so I was starting to feel it the other day, and I was driving around in my car, and I realized it. So I put on music, and usually I put on something a little lighthearted. I got a couple different, kind of jazzy or like bluesy things that usually pick me up at least a little bit. They give you a little serotonin, but they weren't really doing it for me. I wasn't really feeling it. So I put on Death Clock. Because I was just thinking about them earlier that day anyways, and I was like, all right, cool, I'll put on some fucking rage music. That might be cool. And it felt good for a little bit, and then I realized I was just getting angry. And I had to, step myself back from that because I don't like that either. I hate feeling the anger, especially when it's like not directed at anything. I hate that because it's like, I don't, like, what do I do with that? I'm not.
It has to fuel something.
Yeah. I have to go do something, but instead I'm stuck in traffic on my way home, and it's like, this isn't helpful. It's like, if I'm being productive, like when I'm raging against God and it helps me to like do shit, just out of spite. Yeah. Like that's not bad, but I still don't enjoy it.
I feel like I used to more. My thing lately has been, I don't know if, I don't think you will feel this one quite as much, but lately my thing has been like, right, like I'm doing better than normal, better than I ever have been, right? A perfect analogy for it is like we do honorable mentions stuff. I fucking love music. I thoroughly enjoy listening to my brother's music, or like if I'm in the wind blows a certain way, I might listen to like a couple songs on repeat, right? Like, and I can feel it then.
Yeah.
But in general, I don't listen to music anymore because I feel numb to it, right? Yeah. So like in depression or in the wind changes, whatever, like I really struggle to see anyone else in my forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just feel very disconnected and like dispassionate.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I'm doing the things I need to do. And some of that is like I've just been focusing on myself for a really long time, trying to make shit better, which is what I really needed to do. But like it's really hard for me to feel people anymore. And I don't know if it was always this way, and that's part of the reason I did certain things, or if it's becoming this way. Like I feel like I'm like trying to build different versions of myself, and I haven't
trying to build back better.
Build Biden, baby. I haven't figured out where like I know in the past I did not know who I was. I feel like I do know myself, right?
I don't think any of us did, though.
That's the whole point of life,
yeah,
right?
It's figuring that out.
Yeah, to know who you truly are and how to accept death. I fully believe that's what life is. I feel like I know myself, but I don't know like who I'm ultimately going to be.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that there's also a thing like you knowing who you are currently is different than thinking that that's just who you are. It's like I've gone through enough changes of like even like aesthetic and opinion and just perspective so much in the last 5 years, let alone 15, 20 years, that I can't expect that like, okay, now that I'm like an adult that I'm just set in my ways. I don't want that. I would like to know that I'm capable of learning and changing with new stimulus. Whether it's just a perspective change, looking at something from a new angle or learning new information or seeing things in a different light that make you, or going someplace new even, that just make you see things and feel differently about your current surroundings.
Yeah. So to tie this back together, I will say I only mean this as a compliment, right? I see you as very tethered to who you are, to the forest, to other people. Right?
Yeah, that's super fair. I don't like to be untethered.
Yeah. And
I like the security and the control of it.
yeah, I feel like I am undecided if I'm going to maintain a weak tether or if I'm going to be fully untethered. And I get confused about that sometimes. So, like, I've always had, like, nihilistic feelings, but I also don't know if, I think the part I'm most confused about, right? We talked about this a little bit, I think on our last one too, like with Christmas stuff. I can't tell if I'm being very honest by saying the things like that I feel like right now, where I can honestly say I don't feel as close to people as I would like to, or I feel more selfish than other people say they are, or that I just don't care about a lot of things and people, like a lot of people's suffering or stories. Like, I logically care. I try to be informed and like try to change things that I believe in, but I can't like feel the level of empathy that I'd like to anymore.
Right.
And I don't know if everyone else is like full of shit and like pretends they really care but are secretly very selfish, or if like I'm just becoming farther untethered. My cable to the space station is straining too far. I don't know if other people are full of shit and I'm being honest, or if I'm like, I don't know, just not as grounded as I should be.
I mean, I feel that way too a lot. That I mean, you even considered me say that you consider me to be an empathetic person. I definitely feel like I'm on the scale of how people are in most of my interactions with other people. I feel like I am definitely one of the more empathetic people that I know.
I think so too.
But that being said, there's definitely a cutoff of how far that goes when it's like if I don't know you at all, and like this is someone is telling me a thing about someone else that I don't know, like that, like it's much harder to feel anything for that person, even if it's like, you know, when we talk about like celebrities or something occasionally, when we talk about like Baldwin and shit, and it's like you can like put yourself kind of in that like position where you can feel like some of the heartbreak that went on and the, you know, the thing, but like I don't know these people.
Right.
So it's not real enough to really get so sad and emotional over it. And I think that so much of that goes on in a lot of media, like that's bullshit. That's like you're looking for views and you're looking for, you know, someone to hear your thoughts and opinions. So you go to the sympathetic route of like, look at me and how I feel. Look at me and how I, you know, I don't know, how I care.
I think you're getting at the heart of what I was picking at poorly. So I totally agree. The mainstream, or like just in general, like the faux empathy.
Yeah,
right?
And I think because of that, other people force it more often, not knowingly. Like they're, you know, they think that they care about shit like this, and they might, to a degree, because it's the thing of the week. You know, they're focused on it, at least their attention's on it, but it doesn't mean that it really means anything. It doesn't stick with them.
So even, all right, the people that in media, internet, whatever, that spread ideals of hatred. So, right, like they're always the shittiest. But on the other side, even the people that care a lot, like the social justice warrior side, the people that are engaged in the battle for the plight of groups of people that they are not necessarily a part of, people that like are active in communities because they care. Like, I guess the part, which obviously that's always the better route, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a part of me just feels like there's no, like, I care about these things or I care about people, but I can't feel it as much as I want. And I feel like there's no possible way anyone else gives that much of a fuck either. I just don't feel like, right? Like, we still have to catch our bus tomorrow, or like we go to, like, I just don't feel like it's possible for everyone to care as much as it seems like everyone cares, for better or worse, regardless of the issue.
Right. I can second that. I feel like
there's weird.
I mean, like you said, it's nice that people, seem to care about things that are important. Or when they do, but it's even hard to like, even the thing about like taking action on certain things. You're like, and I think for me, I turn off a lot of that too, because it's like I can't, unless I'm being actionable about it, or there's something that I can do directly, like now, I can't dwell on it because I dwell on it. I get upset. And there's no reason for me to do that to myself if there's nothing that I can do about it. If it's like, civil rights kind of shit or something, it's like you can sign shit, or you can call your congressperson, and then like, what the fuck else do you do? Like, what do you do?
Well,
besides just get upset with, yourself and with other people around you and shit. And it's like, it's a cycle.
So you just sparked a thought. So this is where I feel like it can be confusing, because there's always something that could be done, right?
Yeah.
Do we really like, is it really like that hard to care? Or is it like a form of like burnout when things are so fucked up for so long, it's just too exhausting to care anymore?
I think
about
my thing is burnout. I get to the point where I can't put energy into this anymore. Like I can't, it doesn't make sense for me to put energy into whatever it is, even if it's something that's like new. Like I can't focus on that. Like all the, the people that were like following, the different court cases that are going on right now. It's like, I don't have the patience in me to like watch that shit or to be thinking about it. Like I can read the fucking out, what happened later on. Me watching it isn't going to change the outcome.
Yeah.
So like I'm good just catching up on it later.
Yeah, and on the flip side of that, I follow a lot of those things very closely, but I feel like when I'm honest with myself, even if it's like the Alec Baldwin stuff, like I don't give a fuck. Like it's a form of like high stakes storytelling, right?
Yeah.
Like it's I just feel like I'm willing to be honest about it, and I'd feel like a lot of people aren't, and it may just reflect poorly on me though, but I feel like I engage in a lot of those things because it's entertaining. Like our world has lots of interesting stories.
It absolutely is. It's one of those things that like I prefer to watch something else, It's just, if it's entertaining, it's like I prefer to get I get burnout watching it. I can't do it. Or I can't do it for long enough for it to matter. The other one is Fuck, I had a thing I was going to bring it up. Hold on.
Yeah, lately myself, I've been feeling I don't feel the burnout. I just feel just less and less interested by anything outside of myself, which is so it just feels very selfish to say, you know?
I mean, yeah, but it's fair, you know? I also look at, you know, there's the whole apply your own mask before helping others kind of thing. I think that really caters over into life a lot more than they probably intended it to when they put that in the manual. But it works really well because you can't help someone else if you don't take care of yourself. You can't even expect people to help you if you don't help yourself. If you're not willing to put the time into you. If you're not investing an interest in yourself, then why would anyone else? And that's not to say to be narcissistic to a degree, but it's be self-assured, be confident in yourself enough that like what we were just saying, like I trust that I can get shit done. So when I need to when I have a depression day and I just need to what, ain't gonna happen today. I only gotta go to work today anyways. I'm just gonna say fuck it. I'll get this shit done another day. I'll worry about it then. I know that within the week I can still pick up that slack and I can get it done. And that's the comfort that I have. And that I can find in that. That's the comfort that I can find. And especially in like empathetic stuff, when I feel like I'm getting burnt out on stuff, I feel like I can gauge that. I can be like, okay, that's too much for me right now. I'll catch back up. You need to take a break from shit.
On my own time.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, is finding how to rejuvenate, what recharges you, and then regain momentum, right?
Yeah.
So momentum based. Did you find what you were looking for?
No, but that's okay.
Okay. I was going to switch gears a bit.
Yeah, do it.
Okay.
I'm going to drink this water on mic. So I'm sure I'm making other mouth noises on mic because my mouth is so fucking dry right now.
Need that rabbit water. Gulp, 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 gulp. Part of what I feel like is both apathy and the times where like you're rejuvenated, you're back in it, right? You're back on your time.
Right.
You're kind of more in control. The thing that's I feel like stays the most constant for myself, like the emotional feeling, and it's also something I witness the most on the internet, right? Which is kind of like a shitty version of the world's like collective subconscious, right? Mm-hmm. Like whether it's like like the fucking depressive saucy memes or like suicide shit online, like the dark cloud of it all. Mm-hmm. The thing I feel like I sense the most, that like in good or bad, that emotional like North Star I feel with myself, is that there's a feeling of that I wish things were different. Even when I feel like good, right? Like I'm in control. Mm-hmm. I'm doing what I want. I feel energized. I feel like for myself, and I see it in other people, I feel like everyone wishes things were different, and it's hard to just like to acknowledge it feels that way and just like accept, like I want it to be different, but I'm am where I am.
Right. No, I definitely feel that. I'm trying to think of an example of my own, but I definitely have felt that way.
I just feel like everyone
all the time.
Yeah. And I don't think it's I don't even think it's bad. I just think it's so interesting.
No,
Like,
and even to a certain point, like that's motivation. You know, that's part of your drive is like, I'm going to quote Rush.
make it different.
Oh
boy.
It seems to me I can live my life a lot better than I think I am. It's like, it's not even about how you are. It's about how you perceive yourself living. And like, I think I can do better though.
Aspiration, not perspiration.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to,
Perspirate to aspirate. You gotta work for those dreams.
God damn it. We're basically Socrates.
Basically, I know one thing I want different is I want to literally see the world different. Now that my vision is rapidly declining. I'm becoming a blind person. Dude, my next body mod after this back piece, I want to get my eyes surgically fixed.
Get some LASIK.
Oh my god, dude. So for Christmas, because this episode will drop after, so I can drop the scoop, even though he already knows. Mm-hmm. But I finally got my brother the colorblind glasses.
Hell yeah.
Do the colorblind test and get hopefully a dialed in idea of the exact colorblind deficiency, and they give you lens that try to, make a correction, right? Nice. And I was doing simulated tests of different versions of color blindness with my art. Just who the fuck knows how accurate those were, but very fun. And I find, so stupid. Color is one of the few things in life that gives my life color, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it matters to me a lot. And I'm so, like, in getting the glasses, I'm so curious how it's going to work because, they work generally for like 80% of his particular version of color blindness. And I just wish so badly I could see what that experience is going to be like for him.
Are you going to find out if they work before you pay for them?
I already bought them.
Okay.
I got them. Yeah. No way to know. Might be just total waste of money, but it's one of those things.
Find someone else that's colorblind and give it to them.
But like when I bought my first like real nice grill for my teeth, it's one of those things.
That was also a waste of money.
Total waste. But no, it wasn't. Because if I didn't spend the money, I always would have wondered.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's also fair. I can concur with that.
Yeah, that's how my justification for that.
And now you know that if you are going to spend money on a grill, you have preconceived ideas of what that's going to be and different. Yes. What you're willing to spend the money on. Like it's got to be fitted right.
Oh yeah.
Important
See,
things.
I honestly I love it, but I'm too hand mouth. I'm an addict. I'm always eating or chewing something. Can't be popping shit
You can't be eating milk duds with your grill in.
Yeah, dude, you can't chug milk all day with a grill in. It gets disgusting. I need that
sour
shit to be
milk
permanent.
Building up in a film underneath on your teeth.
I got salmonella in this grill. I'm poisoning people by taking a sip of their drink.
Jesus Christ.
I felt like maybe we could dive into color stuff because I haven't been able to work on art as much as I've wanted to, but I'm really really fucking enjoying what I'm making, and I just don't have enough time. But my obsession with art has always, not always, but in my like most recent stage or body of work, I change art aliases it's normally like every 5 years, and I always think it's going to be the final form, and it typically develops into something new at some point, grows, but color has been my focus for like a long time, and I want to study, I have studied, and I want to like continue diving in to color theory stuff. But the more I get involved in it, like, or I'm thinking about it, the more I feel like it's the part that you always get the most value out, or like learn the most, is through the experience of playing with it.
Right.
It's interactive.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I could pick up more through like reading on it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has to be done. It has to be seen and felt as you're doing it.
And it's like the rainbow conversation. You know, it's such a like personal experience. Like my experience with color is so interpersonal compared to like my brother's experience of color, that it's something that you can never quite translate to a person. It's something like such an internal feeling. And I find that so fascinating that I just want to, like, I don't know, there just feels like something so pure about, like, I don't know, color. I want to dip myself in color. Ironically, I only ever wear black, but I just love, I don't know where I'm going with that. I just really want to experience more color lately.
Yeah, I realized very much in the designing of my home here that the it's partially it's about color for me, but it's also very much the placement of color, the composition of like where, like when I look into a room and it's like, or it just out of the corner of my eye having, you know, black wall and then a gray wall, and then there's spots of certain color in certain places that, like I said, even if it's just in my peripheral view, that I can kind of see, or, you know, as I'm walking through the hallway, and I look up and I see certain spots of things that, like, that's what does it for me.
So do you feel like the change in environmental aesthetics is affecting your internal experience?
Yes.
Even on the small, like the smallest vibrations out of the corner of your eye, that's affecting your mind.
Yeah, like if that wasn't there or it was a different color, I think, yes, it very much does affect.
Yeah.
My comfort level, at least.
I'm really feeling that. So, like,
it's a very privileged problem to have. To have control over.
Yeah. Like, I love art, right? Art's not permanent enough, right?
Right.
Like we talked about, I'm interested in the different sealants or like construct more permanent forms of my own work. The traveling through time with permanent art, right?
Mm-hmm.
Art's cool and all, but it's both awesome and pretty lame because it's such an internal, often uncommunicatable experience, right?
Right.
How cool would it be if, like, pure color could be distilled, right? Like those pure, the pure Vanta black, or the pink, the brightest shade of pink or whatever. Like, I feel like that is almost a, like, more true form of expression, but it's so subjective and internal. So, like, for some reason, these ideas were getting me to think about, like, ways, like if we could see other spectrums of light, right? Like some of these animals, to be able to see different UVs, or to have additional access to additional color spectrums, right? Like, everything would be so unique to what we were seeing, right? It would be so different, right? Like, I wish those kind of experiences could be tailored in some sort of fashion with art, right? Like the closest form I can think of that is like a video, like a film project. Like if you made a movie for one person, right? Like you were making this art piece. It's an installation. It's a film. They watch it on VR, and it's a movie tailor-made for one person, right? Mm-hmm. Like that would be a uniquely powerful piece of art, potentially. So individual, so customized, something that they could only experience. There's no way someone else could experience it uniquely the way they do, just like we perceive color, right? So like the closest thing outside of that, which would be like kind of cheesy, or like you'd have to like commission an artist you love to like make you a singular art experience. But like even a film or something, it's still like not as submergible. So I was thinking about other things that were like this, and the closest thing I could come to was like designer drugs, right? Like custom made chemical experiences. And like
that's interesting.
Yeah, I remember watching a documentary about the chemist who created, I think it was called Orange Sunshine. It was the most famous and like enduring form of LSD. Like this one dude had this particular formula, and like any acid head during those years of Woodstock and that, like Orange Sunshine was the shit. Like everyone knew his acid. It had a particular aesthetic, feel, experience attached to it. It was like the cleanest stuff out there. He made it in Canada, I believe, buying the chemicals imported from Europe in these super sterile labs, while everyone else was getting this like bunk, like not as scientifically sound acid, right? Mm-hmm. So his stuff would give you the best experience. That's subjective. So like, but each time someone takes that drug, they're getting their own version of the trip, which is part of what makes acid so awesome. But now like we're in the age of like, it's, you know, it's not really out there that much, but we see new drugs pop up all the time because people are making designer drugs, not for like one person so much, but to try to create new drug markets. We do see specific designer drugs, particularly with sports, because you can alter the chemical structure of steroids or hormones to make it individual to that person, so you can bypass drug tests or get certain desired effects. But we haven't quite hit the point where, like, if we want to get high one day, we go to our dealer, pharmacy, whatever, and they cook us up a specific chemical compound, right? Like, that's the future of drug stuff, right?
Instead, we just have to cut up, a certain amount of pills and, mix a little hash in there and
mix whatever we find in the carpet that day, right?
Yeah, hit up the stuff under the sink.
I know I've mentioned on here, but every like 6 months or whatever, when I would be like super dope sick, couldn't find shit, I would clean out my car, and the plethora of things I would find, that cocktail would have me more fucked up than I had been in months. Like find like 5 Xanny bars, some oxys, like I just find like all kinds of random shit and be like, all right, I'm good for a while.
The Stephen Car bomb.
Oh my god. So I don't know. I kind of know where I'm going this, but I'm kind of freestyling.
No, I like the idea. I think in concept, like there has always been things about like certain drugs that I liked, but like I like this a lot, but like I don't like this effect that it has, or I don't like, this thing that I get from it. So like that's usually what ends up steering me away from it. But if there was like, yeah.
So I want to drop the finish. So I was thinking of the idea, as much as I love art, what if like we could distill like a form of art that was an individual like chemical compound to give a unique personal experience to a singular person. Not like, oh, acid is art, this is the perfect, this molecule structure is perfect. You don't have the DMT necklace or whatever. Like you take those drugs and you have any effect. What if you could create an art experience, an installation, a personal memory, like some sort of experience you could give, inject, share with someone as a drug, so it was like the perfect form of art. Do you get where I'm going?
I do.
Sorry,
I do.
I wasn't trying to get like straight just into like cool designer drugs. I was trying to like.
No, I get it. I get what you're putting out there. I think, like I said, I think the idea of making something so personal, of course, it has to be different for every person. Like, are you saying that you're only trying to affect one person, or are you trying to affect multiple people with the same effect?
Potentially either way. Like, imagine, all right, we're seeing all this crazy NFT shit, all the scams, all the possibility, potential, the good and the bad, right? Mm-hmm. What if the future, we have crypto, NFT, art drugs, where it's like, I put out a new compound, I put out pink cloud number 3, like memory unknown, right? Mm-hmm. You get the highest bid. I ship, you get your little digital token key of your designer created art drug, right? Mm-hmm. And I ship you a little matrix pill or a pink syringe in the mail, right?
Right.
And you're sitting there, you got the day off work, you got your cat, you got the new vines on the wall, all the candles are just right, and you shoot up pink cloud number whatever. And it's like a drug-induced state, but you're experiencing a memory like in a movie of an experience, an art piece that I made for you. Where like it would be like experiencing pure color in the same way I experienced, or the way I wanted someone to experience. Mm-hmm. You're not seeing a flat piece of art and like seeing what you want in the clouds. You're experiencing the clouds as I want you to experience perfectly.
Now here's the I want to say the backlash of that. Here's the reaction of that. So after this becomes a thing that takes hold, right? Like people will catch on to it, like there are with NFTs and stuff, and it's like suddenly only the rich are getting these drugs, and it gets to the point where the rich are only getting these drugs. They're
hoarding the cloud drugs.
They're not investing in coke like they used to. They're not investing in heroin and other shit like they might have before. They're now focused on these new art drugs, which means that the street value of other drugs is gonna dip.
Fuck yeah. Buy low, sell high.
That's right.
No, but I feel like I'm approaching it less literal, just in the sense like we've talked about selling memories or experiences, but I really like the idea of making a form of art that would not be subjective. Like art is so beautiful because we can see what we want in the clouds and find beauty in a way we want to find it. But how cool would it be if it was like we could create tailored memories, experiences, art, whatever, that was chemically or aesthetically like identical to what the creator wanted. You know what I mean? And then even if the rich were hoarding it, look at the internet. You could make shit public source and fucking trick out the NFT markets. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So here's the other thing is, even if you're creating a drug to be a certain way, a very specific certain way, what someone, so they like read the description of like what it's supposed to be, something like, and then they get it. Their impression of it is going to be different than their initial, first take on it. So it's still subjective.
I get what you're saying, because that rolls into like expectations or internal reactions, thoughts to that piece. And I feel like if I approached it as like just custom art, right? Like made for individuals, I feel like that's the case. But if you could create something that was like, even if they had different expectations going in, if it was a chemical thing that, at least during the effects of it, right? Mm-hmm. Like made their brain experience it the way it was created. This is totally abstract. Like imagine even if they had those expectations, like let's say this person is a cloud hater. They hate clouds. They can't stand it, and they hate the color.
What a sad life.
Yeah, they hate it, but their buddy is like, "Hey, fuck them. I'm gonna make this person see the beauty of pink clouds," and they give their buddy that drug unknowingly, and they have that experience, and all their expectations, preconceived notions are gone, and they have to go through that experience, that like specific drug trip that was made just for them, and they can't feel anything outside of it. Like your emotions are tied in to the chemical ride itself, and like afterwards maybe the person feels differently about clouds because they saw it a certain way, or maybe they're doubled down, or they're like, hey, I knew what it felt like to love pink clouds, and you know what? I hate it even more because that's bullshit. No one should ever feel that way about pink clouds. I'm going to hate them forever. You know what I mean? Like, how cool would it be if, like, you could make someone or give them the option to experience or feel or go through something exactly the way you intended it to be, and not subjective art, you know? That
you start losing me there a little bit, only because the lack of control on it. Like, the lack of control on, and this is just because of my thing with, like, drugs in general. Like, the main reason why I don't smoke more weed or do other drugs is because I lose a bit of my control. I'm not completely in charge at that time, so I don't feel comfortable. And I know with weed especially, it's just like my tolerance is shitty. So it's like I'm working on it and I'm getting better about it lately. So I can enjoy it better. But even still, it's taking me time to get up to that point where if I'm taking something that's like, I just have to ride this out now, and if I were to not like it, that would suck.
Well, I guess think about it from the point of view, like, let's say,
and I just spent a bunch of money on it.
Let's say it's all free, right?
Okay.
And you could, in theory, exit the trip at any time. There's an abort button. But let's say we're preparing to start the Trashcats podcast, right? We're going back in time 14 months, 15 months, whatever, right? We just time traveled backwards. And we're like, hey, we want to make this trash shit podcast. But, you know, Ricky, I don't know you as well as I'd like to. I don't know if I can trust you. I think I need to experience something from your point of view, but I need to.
I thought you were going to say, I need to know if you're cool or not. Here, take this.
Are you cool, man? Are you cool? So yeah, we don't trust each other. And we're like, hey, we need to prove if we can trust this person, see if we're going to get along. So we give each other, you get the red pill, I get the blue pill. And we both give each other our senior year of high school, right? Mm-hmm. And it's bloop, bloop. We both pop our pills and we experience that person's like life from their perspective without being able to think. We only feel and experience it as that person's experience.
So you're saying this would be a form of chemical empathy.
Sure, like I'm not even, but like not even empathy, because empathy is
a chemical way to
simulation
to induce, an attempt to induce empathy.
Not even an attempt, just pure observation, because like you could, our preconceived notions, our beliefs afterwards, we could feel subjectively about it however we want. But
right. So empathy doesn't mean you care about something. Empathy means that you understand it, at least to you can resonate with it. You can understand it. What it feels, but you're not.
But I'm being so abstract. I don't even want it to be like the trip felt this way and you could feel it from this. I want it to be like you literally went through it from their perspective.
Right. So what I'm saying, and then afterward, the result of which, after putting yourself in someone's shoes, like I think that for me at least, that's how I feel the core model of empathy is like, put yourself into this person's shoes and experience what they're facing from their point of view. And that's how you understand a person and their concerns.
Sure.
So in doing that, especially when you're like trying to, you want to go into business with somebody or something, or you want to start a shitty podcast with them, and you decide, okay, well, I want to learn more about this person. I need to make sure that I'm putting myself in the right, with the right person here. I want to see how they feel.
Yeah, I want to know that.
Yeah.
And maybe the outcome could be like, I lived that experience they had. I felt it the exact same way. I could come out of that thinking, oh, he's a scumbag. I'm never going to make the Trashcats.
Right.
Or I come out of it like, fuck, this is my homie. Like we're doing it big time. Yeah. Right? Like I don't want it to have like a simulated goal or outcome. Just I don't know. I don't know what I'm.
But there has to be some kind of goal. Otherwise, why do it? Other than you're just taking drugs at that point.
Well, why do we do art though? Like we get the subjective goal or feeling out of it that we want to. Right. But the creator doesn't necessarily have to give that.
The creator gets their own sense of satisfaction of creating something, and hopefully they also get paid for it.
Sure, but think about it.
But those are goals. That's like, why do you make art?
I not for those reasons.
You don't get any sense of satisfaction of making it?
I do. I definitely do, but I don't have any expectation on what someone else gets out of it.
Right.
Like that's
fair. You don't have to. I don't think that's on the part of the artist to do that at all. I think the part of the artist is just like, hey, I enjoy making things enough that, or I have the overwhelming need to make things.
Right.
So I'm just going to put it out there.
Hopefully people like it.
Yeah, if people like it and I can, that's cool, but they don't have to.
Right.
I don't expect them to. I don't have to. I think that's honestly, probably the most purest form of art is you're doing it for you because it is subjective, and it should be, whether it's even something that you feel super close to or not, on a general basis, if you feel like if you have a piece that's very different because you felt a certain way while you made it, or you just you're fucking around with some shit, and you're like, all right, that looks like a piece.
Yeah, hopefully I get a couple of upvotes on Reddit, but if not, fuck it. And like, I mean, that kind of goes into the argument of like real artists think about art. Artists that think about money or business aren't real artists. That's a whole
that's different.
Yeah, well, that's a whole goofy argument. I feel like there's a little both sides of that. But like, if you could make like tailored designer experiences like that, like you could literally like buy, sell, trade like pieces of ourselves, or pieces of like capturing like simulated experience, like the ether, you know, things that never happened but would have happened if we took that drug, right? Or like we had that experience even though it wasn't real, then it is in a way. It would just be, I don't know. I just think it's such a fun idea to think of like how different we could be or experience things if like we were able to experience things that way. Like if I could have bits and pieces of all of the people around, like all the ghost people in my forest, they're all there, but I can't feel them all the time. But if I could actually share mine, have theirs, pieces of experiences or memories or like a simulated version or feeling of them, it would be so much easier to either tether or detach, right? It just, I don't know. You could change minds, hearts, all that shit in such uniquely powerful ways. And the aesthetics could just be gorgeous.
Yeah.
I want cloud number 6, pink cloud number 6.
This Skies X Cloud series.
Yes, bro. Yes. I really like clouds.
Look for it at your local pharmacy. If you don't see it in the store, go around back by the dumpster.
And if it's not in there, go behind the counter, stick them all up, and take everything.
Take all of it. If you combine enough of them, you'll get close.
Right. Dude,
get some heart meds in there.
Imagine
pop a little insulin.
The two different non-subjective experiences. You have two of the drugs, right? You have pink cloud 6 and green water 3. And you're like, fuck it. These two pills are perfect experiences, right? They're non-subjective at all. And you start combining hybrids of them. And individually, there's no room for subjectivity. But overlapping, there would be like foreign spots of the mind, right? I don't know.
I can't wait for the first person to sell some sugar water and be like, and this is art because, you know.
Oh, that the gamer girl bathwater.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Good for that chick.
There's a few people doing that.
Oh, there's a ton now.
It's like, I'll go for it. Fuck yeah, I'll make that money.
Yeah, OnlyFans was a game changer for sure.
Well, even just like someone, you know, they sell sugar water and like this is art because like the banana taped to the wall or the, you know, Banksy's shredded piece or something, you know, like it's a stunt and it's like, and then it's in the news that like, oh, someone thought they were buying this designer drug, but they actually just bought sugar water. And the other person's like, I'm not even upset about it. I think it was great. It tasted like Kool-Aid. Like it was cherry flavored Kool-Aid. Like
yeah, honestly, man, I've been having more trouble than normal to find art I truly enjoy or appreciate lately. I don't know if it's just a lull for myself or I just feel like there's a lot of art lately that just sucks.
Yeah. I've stumbled onto some new music lately. Well, new to me music lately that I want to shout out next week for an honorable, but
dope. Look forward to that. Well, thanks for indulging my goofy cloud fantasies. There's something there.
There's something there. I said, go check behind your local pharmacy, find old Greg. He's got a hole in his hat and a hole in his heart, but you'd never know it. It's more full than most of yours.
Oh,
but he's got good drugs.
Good old Greg. Do you have I have one more weird concept I could throw out, or do you got anything you want to do?
No, let's go for it.
Okay. I was listening to a really good debate, and I don't even want to shout it out because there was a guy I liked and a guy I didn't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
The guy I didn't know gave an outstanding performance. Was very interesting, entertaining, and gained some sympathy from me on a point of view I did not agree with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I consider all good things. Highly entertaining and got me to question some perspectives or reevaluate some ideas, right? What the most interesting thing he said to me, they were talking about sex and different controversial aspects of sexual orientation, those kind of things, and he was saying a bunch of trash, right? That's why I don't want to shout him out. But what I really found interesting is he had a concept about self-love or bodily autonomy. His idea was that some people love who they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people feel less comfortable in their skin, and other people hate themselves. And everything is like a spectrum in between. Some people want to change who they are. Some people want to just evolve, make themselves better, or become a new person, right?
Yeah.
All of those are valid options.
Right.
Definitely for myself, I have often felt very uncomfortable in my skin. I have gone to great lengths at times to change who I am and to evolve into a better version of myself. So definitely only am speaking compassionately about this. But what I found very interesting about his theory was that there's a certain level of self-hatred that we are meant to have. And we've kind of spoke or had conversations about that before, that how guilt and shame can be powerful motivators. Mm-hmm. And it's not always inherently bad. It's typically bad if other people put it on you, right? But it's not always inherently bad. But there was just one thing he said that stuck with me a lot. And he said that even if you love who you are, you love your body, you love your mind, who you are physically, mentally, at some point or another, no matter how confident you are or you think you've reached your final stage, there will always be a point where everyone hates who they are. The only exception from that is a sudden death, right? Because at some point or another, we'll be physically weak. Our back will go out. Our wrinkles, an accident, we lose something will, we will always change, and there will always be a point where it is, even if you don't hate yourself or have overwhelmingly negative feelings, there will always be a point where you're less satisfied with who you are.
Right.
And I don't feel like that's talked about as much, or I've said more than one. I think a huge part of life is learning how to die, and and accept the failings of our bodies or just who we are. I did not agree with how he used that argument to justify some shitty beliefs, but I also think it should be more acceptable to feel uncomfortable with who we are.
Right, yeah. I can second that.
And as a person who has gone to great lengths to change who I am, like we've seen it a little bit in like the conversations about weight or obesity, where like the pendulum kind of swung a bit, and for a while like everyone was really pushing the like it's okay to be as fat as you want, and like saying that that's still like healthy, and like
the thing is it's not healthy. It's
right,
one thing to say like you should still try to confidence in your skin. You know, it's not it's saying like, oh, you're still a beautiful person, you're still a wonderful person. Like, but to say it's healthy is different.
Yeah, there's a fine line, but I think the important part of it is like that it's okay. It's okay to be dissatisfied with who you are.
That I concur with. There's 100%. I feel like I get that a lot, where it's like it's definitely. I mean, you hear other stuff like it's fine to not feel fine. It's okay to not be okay. Like if anyone around you expects you to be 100% all the time on yourself, you go fuck them. You don't need that person in your life. You don't need that negativity in your life. No one expects it because they don't have it themselves. No one is 100% okay with everything and confident all the time. Everyone's self-conscious about something a little bit. Like, you don't fret on that. Like, because the problem is when you worry about that, it gives you something else to be stressed out about. When like, if your thing is like, for me, like I'm overweight for sure. And like, I know that I am, and I can choose to let it stress me out, or I can recognize that, all right, I need to, start cutting, and I need to, lose some weight, and just do it, and not fucking, get upset about it like I used to. And I mean, I still like, I get it. It doesn't make me happy, but it's like, I don't get depressed by it anymore. It's, it's just something that I come to terms with and I can deal with, rather than, like I said, getting upset and making it worse for myself. Because that's the other thing is you get upset about, when you get self-conscious about something, and it definitely doesn't make it go away, using that somewhat as a motivation to like, okay, I recognize this and I know I need to do something about it. Using that as a motivation is one thing. But yeah, getting more upset about it isn't gonna, and dwelling on it isn't gonna help. But
yeah, it's almost just a perspective change kind of deal, because like I feel like there is a lot of conversation about like to just like it's okay, like that you should just be comfortable in your skin even if you're not okay with yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it is always like encouraged, or like generally a good thing to like, you see a problem, you make a change, or you just don't feel satisfied with how you are, so you try to overcome it, get stronger, better, whatever. But I also think, like, opposed to just being, like, like, the conversation is often, it's good to be, like, regardless of how things are, you should be comfortable in your skin. But I think there should almost be a little twist of that to be, like, sometimes it can be good or healthy to be uncomfortable in your skin and not need to make the change.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I second that too, because it's like
it's kind of dumb. I don't know.
No, I mean I enjoy the idea that like I've reached a point of comfort in myself that like, am I happy that I'm overweight? No, of course not. Do I want to change it? Absolutely. But also, life's short, so I'm not going to, deny myself happiness when I, if I want something, or if, I'm going out with people and like we're getting drinks and stuff. It's like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I got to cut back because I can't be drinking because carbs and beer. And it's like, go fuck yourself. I'm going to have a good time. I'm not going to let that insecurity of myself stop me from like, I'm not, it's still there, but I'm not going to let that prevent me from living my life. I think it's, like I said, it's a good motivating factor to, put yourself in perspective. And here's the other thing. If your main insecurity with yourself is your weight, the good news is you can fix that by doing work. If your problem, you're lucky if that's your problem, because the other problem is maybe like you're just ugly. Like maybe your face is like hella unsymmetrical.
Hey, you can change that now too.
You can, but that costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
That you have to work a lot anyways to get money, fair. And then you get in, and then maybe that gets fucked up.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more problems with that. Like, be thankful if your problem is you're just fat.
That's a funny take.
I mean, that's the one. Like, my face is kind of unsymmetrical. I recognize that, but I don't think I'm unattractive in any way.
I never have thought or noticed that at all.
Oh, it's a lot more noticeable if I'm wearing glasses. You don't really notice with like shades on, but like if I put on like regular clear glasses, you can see that like one cheek definitely sits a little higher than the other. One eye is a little bit further back than the other.
But in like a classic modern tests of beauty, when they do, like, people find symmetrical faces the most attractive, right?
Yeah.
But like the caveat is like the people who are the top tier of like what we think of as beauty are people that are near perfect symmetrical with asymmetrical elements. So it's not, as long as you're not lumped out. No, it's right?
and the only reason I notice these things is because I drew myself a lot, growing up. So I recognize this shit. Like, after a while, like, you start to pick up on little details of shit.
That almost speaks to your level of attention to detail or knowledge of self. Then I think it.
And that's the other thing is, like, most people are not ever going to notice that about me.
Right.
But that's my thing. Is like, I'll lose. When I'm in shape, I look good. I'm like, it's almost like I'm too confident.
It's like hacking in Halo.
Yeah, I gotta cool it down for everyone else. Make it fair.
It seems like we tell older people that if they're uncomfortable, they should change, and that we tell younger people if they're uncomfortable, they don't need to change. And it just seems like there's a bit of a middler ground where, like, even if you are uncomfortable, it's okay to be comfortable. You don't have to be comfortable. You know what I mean? Yeah. Uncomfortable can be good. That's what that my crazy old friend taught me with
old Greg.
Basically, old Greg taught me the Zen ways to get through withdrawals was just, it's okay to feel that uncomfortability and not have to do anything about it. It's just slight perspective tweaks.
I like that, perspective tweaks. You kind of it changes the way that you see it. Like I said, for me, it's the one thing is when you get upset about it, it only is going to make the problem worse.
Definitely. It's that negative momentum.
Yeah, and I don't mean getting upset like it. I think that's very different from like noticing that it's a problem and like using that to motivate. That's not getting upset. Getting upset is you get depressed over it, and then you get less energy to deal with it, and then you're just stressed out about that, and you let it affect other issues in your life, and then it gets worse. And
Yeah,
but yes,
the cancer spreads.
Yeah, but some uncomfort, a healthy amount of uncomfort is good. It's also humbling.
Yeah, it's okay to be a piece of shit.
Yeah. It's okay. Okay, we're all pieces of shit. It's okay to recognize it.
Yeah. Well, fuck. You got anything? I don't know about you. I feel
I'm spent.
Feel a little bit better.
I'm done. I'm tired.
Tired and better.
This was a healthy discussion.
I feel like we're Scientologists who just went clear. I see all the angles, man.
All the angles.
I'm ready to solve Da Vinci's Code. I can find pi everywhere right now.
Someone call Hubbard.
Now I want pi. Real pi. Not fake number pi. I want real pi.
Well, thanks again for listening. Thank you to
next week art stuff. That'll be cool.
Yeah, that'll be good. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John. I hope these glasses fix your stupid eyeballs.
Hell yeah. Excuse me. You have to do one of those like videos where you take and you see like his reaction to it.
I hope he cries colored tears. Just rainbow tears everywhere.
I don't think you can say colored tears on a podcast, Steven.
Rainbow.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trashcats Trashcast on Instagram and for news and art from the show. Check out Facebook for the memes.
If you're super bored, you can check out my trash art on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZICX. Shouts out to the moon and pink clouds. Tune in next Wednesday for our episode on art. We have some really cool art to look at. Very excited to share and talk about the stories. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trashy.